So for the live study session today, we'll be going over some things from digital literacy. So today we're going to be looking at Excel and Google Sheets. So we'll go over understanding those, and we'll talk a little bit about activity 7.1.1. And then if you have any questions, we can go through there. Please feel free to interrupt me if you have a question before then as well. And then for the last half of the session, we are going to be going over how to use Google Drive. Okay. So when we look at Excel and Google Sheets, these are both spreadsheet software programs. So they're really good at allowing you to organize information in a table-like structure. So you usually want to use these programs when you're doing anything with any type of math or financial data is usually when you use spreadsheet programs. So when we look at a spreadsheet, it's simply a file made of rows and columns that can help us to sort data, easily arrange data, and also to be able to calculate numerical data. So usually when you open up a spreadsheet, and I'll open up one in a second, you will start with what they call a workbook, and that's what all of your sheets are contained in a workbook, and you can have multiple sheets. So let's take a look here. Let me open up one. So I'm going to Google Sheets here. So we can see that it consists of columns going across the top here. There are specified or labeled by letters. So our columns actually go vertically down our screen, and they're labeled by letters. And then on the left-hand side here, we have our rows that go horizontally across our screen, and each row is indicated by a number. And then all of the individual squares you see on the screen are called cells. A cell is simply an intersection of a row and a column. So for instance, if I wanted to go to cell C3, I would find C across the top, go down to row 3, and it's going to land me right here on row C3, or cell C3, excuse me. So cells are just simply intersections of letters and numbers, our columns and our rows. Okay, so when we look at cells, cells can contain different types of data. So cells can contain labels, formulas, or values. So when we're talking about labels, labels are any type of text or any combination of numbers in text. Usually labels are used as headings or for some type of explanation of the information that's in that, that's coming up in the cells beneath it. We also can have values in cells, and these are any type of numbers, whether it be a whole number, a decimal number, fraction, some type of currency. All of those things would go under values. And then lastly, cells can also contain formulas. So formulas are any type of mathematical expressions or functions. So Excel does have the ability to do functions. You can set up different formulas and functions so that it will do the math for you. And it makes it really simple and easy when you're using it. So anytime you go in a cell and you're actually editing a cell, whatever cell you're using at that moment, we call that the active cell. So if you notice here, it has a blue outline around it. That's how you know which cell is active. So whichever cell you click on or you're currently typing in will always have that highlight around it, and that is called the active cell. Okay, if we were using Excel, I'm actually in Google Sheets right now, but if we were in Excel, you'll also know your active cell because in the upper left-hand corner, which it doesn't show here, but in Excel in this upper left-hand corner, it would also tell you the name of the active cell. So right now I'm in cell F5. If we were using Microsoft Excel, it would say F5 in that top left corner. So it's just a little added bonus there that comes with that program. Okay, so since I have Google Sheets open, maybe let's quickly kind of do a little sample here. So right here where I've just clicked, this is where we can actually give our spreadsheet a title. So I'm just gonna call it sample spreadsheet for now. And let's create a little sample here. So I'm gonna do maybe a sample timesheet. So let's do timesheet for oops, Mary Banks. And we'll do days, hours, and total pay. Let's do that. So I'll just quickly put some days in here. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And I'll put some hours in here. So maybe she worked 8 hours that day, 7, maybe 6.5, 7.5, and maybe 9. So here's where it comes in handy. Obviously, if I'm just doing something for one person, it may not seem like a big deal. But if I was actually doing a timesheet, you know, doing timesheets for hundreds of people, I would want a quick way to be able to add up how much each person's pay was. So in Excel, we can actually do formulas. We can do mathematical functions in here. We always start them with an equal sign. So let's say Mary makes $15 an hour, and I want to find out how much money she made for Monday. I could start it off with an equal sign that lets Excel know we want to do some math, as opposed to if I'm just typing and I don't put an equal sign, it just interprets that as some type of value. So I'm going to start with an equal sign. She makes $15 an hour, so I'm going to put 15 times 8. That's the number of hours she worked on Monday. If I press enter, Excel does the math for me and tells me that she made $120 for that day. Now, if I wanted to find out how much she made for all the other days, obviously I could go in and keep retyping that formula for each cell. Or since I've already put this formula in the first cell, Excel has a really nice way of copying things. So if you look in the lower right-hand corner of this cell, there's kind of this little blue square there. If I hover over that square, my cursor turns into a black cross. That lets me know I can copy something. So if I now click there, and I drag down, it will actually copy that formula, which actually I didn't want the same formula to copy the whole time. But if I did want it to copy, that's the way I could copy it. But I actually don't want to copy it. I wanted it to update. Oh, I know why I didn't do it. So that's a good example. So if we look here, I copied. I got the same amount all the way down. I didn't want to get the same amount. Well, why did that happen? Well, I actually typed in the number 8. So it's going to copy that same number all the way down. But if I actually want the formula to update to each of these numbers as I go down, instead of typing in the number 8, I should type in the cell name that the number 8 is in. So I'm going to go back in here. I'm going to adjust this formula and I'm going to take out 8. Instead of putting in 8, I'm going to put in B4. Still going to give me the same amount there. But now if I go back, click in the lower right-hand corner, click and drag, you notice now my formula updated for each cell. So we always want to make sure if we're doing math that we're actually referring to the cell name instead of whatever number's in that cell. And it will update for me. So that's a nice function of Excel. That's what Excel is used for, to do mathematical functions. And then if I wanted to get the total gross pay for all 5 of these days, I could use a function called sum. So if I put in equal, and what's nice about Google Sheets, it already kind of guesses what I want to do. So it gives me a suggestion here, and it kind of already figures out, oh, I think you want to add up all those cells there. So if I actually just click on its suggestion, it'll put the function in there for me. Press enter, and it has now added up the numbers for all 5 of these cells. So that's what spreadsheets are used for. That's why Google Sheets and Microsoft Excel are great to use, especially if I had a super long list of numbers. If I had 100 numbers here that I wanted to add up, I wouldn't want to have to keep typing that formula over and over. So that's a really quick way that we can do it. So I'm going to take a breath at this point because I've been talking a lot, and ask you, Shirley, if maybe you have any questions. Did that make sense, what I just did?
why do I keep me? Okay. I
Sorry.
think the only thing I'm worried about is
Mm-hmm.
like, for my final, they want me to do like graphs and stuff like that. So
Okay.
like, I think that's the only thing that I'm not quite understanding completely is how they want me to do the graphs and stuff like that, the charts that they want me to do.
Okay, so they're asking you to do a graph in Excel or in
Yeah,
Google Sheets.
yeah.
Okay, so let's take a look at that. We can take a look at that. Thanks for asking. Let's check it out. So let's see. We're gonna go to insert. Okay, so when you get ready to do a graph or a chart, you're actually going to highlight the data that you want to be in the chart. So if I wanted to chart this information, I would highlight this data. And then I'm going to go to insert chart. It should pull up. There
Hey,
we go. Yes.
we can only see your slideshow still.
Oh, can you not? I'm sorry.
So you might
Thank
have
you for letting me know.
yeah, you might have to stop screen sharing and then switch over.
Yeah, let's go back and see. I apologize.
Yeah, no worries. Because when you share the screen, you can choose to either do entire desktop or just window.
Gotcha.
All better.
Oh, so you didn't see anything I just did? I'm sorry. I'm just talking. So that probably made no sense if you weren't seeing anything. Okay, so let me backtrack a little bit. Okay, so what I did is I kind of typed in this information. I'm going to actually backtrack. I'll take this out and go back. So I kind of make this little sample timesheet here. And I was just showing how Excel can actually do mathematical functions for you. So we've got Mary Banks here. I just made up that she makes $15 an hour, and I wanted to compute how much she made for Monday. So if we want to do a formula or some type of math in Excel, we always started with an equal sign. And then I just put in 15, because that's how much she makes per hour, times. Now I could put in the number 8, but instead I'm going to put in the cell name where the 8 is, which is B4. Or I actually, to make it even easier, I can click on B4. It fills it in for me. And then it's going to do the math that she made $120 for that day. Then if I wanted to go ahead and find out how much she made for all the other days, if you notice there's this little blue square in the bottom right-hand corner. That square can be used to copy formulas to other cells so that I don't have to retype them. So if you notice when I hover over it, it turns into a black cross. If I click and drag down, it will do the math for all of those days for me. So very quickly, I can get how much she made for each day. And then if I wanted to find out how much she made for the whole week, I can use a function called sum. So if I put an equal sign in there, Google Sheets is really smart, and it kind of anticipates that that's what I want to do, that I want to do is use the sum function. So if I click here on its suggestion, it'll fill it in for me, press enter, and there's the total there. Now, Shirley, you were asking about doing a chart. So if I wanted to chart this information, first thing I'm going to do is to highlight the section that I want to chart. So I'm going to highlight that whole section there. And then I'm going to go up to the insert menu and click on chart. So that should pull up our chart wizard. So it kind of already guesses that maybe I want to do a bar chart. Maybe I don't want to do a bar chart. Maybe I want to do a different type. If I go over here in this chart editor window here, I can switch it to whatever chart I want. So if I much rather have a line graph, I can switch it there. So there's a bunch of different charts we can use. I'm going to go back to the bar chart there. So then once we have the chart up, we can kind of switch things around. We can add labels that we want. We can tell which sections we want to be on the x-axis, what we want to be on the y-axis. So right now it has this label of days down here. I could change that to whatever I want. Could go in here and change that to days of the week. So everything that we need to make the chart will come up in this chart wizard here, and we can just kind of edit everything in here. So if I wanted a legend, I could change the legend as well, the font. Does that make sense? How I just did that chart?
Yeah, it's easier. It's easier for me to understand seeing it than it is to read. We want you to do this, and then I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm like freaking out. Like, wait, how do I do this?
Right, right. I understand that. Well, please feel free at any time, now that we've spoken, if you have a question, just send me an email, chat anytime. But it
Okay.
definitely probably does make more sense once you see it. Sometimes written directions,
Yeah.
even for me, it's more helpful to see it than to see it written
Yeah.
out. Okay, awesome. So any other questions about anything?
Um, Not that I can think of. I mean, everything else seems pretty straightforward.
Awesome. Okay, great. Okay, well, there's no other questions about that. That was my spiel on spreadsheets. I'm gonna come out of this. Let's see. Are you still seeing? Let's see. I think maybe I have to stop and share again. Sorry, I'm still figuring out how to navigate this program here.
You're fine. You're completely fine.
Okay, I'm gonna go back to my PowerPoint here. So the next thing I wanted to go over was how to use Google Drive. Google Drive is a really helpful tool to be able to upload and store files online. I like to use it because once you store files there, you can access those files from anywhere. So I may store some files here at home on my desktop computer and then need to access them at work, at my computer at work, or on my phone when I'm on the go, and whatever, it doesn't matter where I save it. I can pull them up anywhere that I have access to the internet. So I find that to be very, very helpful. So what's also good about Google Drive is that you can upload things into both private and shared folders. So if I'm just uploading files for myself, I can keep them totally private. No one can see them but me. But sometimes maybe you're working on a project at school and you have multiple people wanting to share information. At that point, you can actually upload things into a shared folder, and anyone that has permission to see that folder can actually see that work. So that's been very helpful to me, especially at work when I was teaching. Sometimes people, us in the same department, we wanted to upload different assignments or things to share with other teachers, and they could all access those things. So that's really cool. So basically with Google Drive, you can store any type of file, whether it be a picture file, drawings, videos, pretty much any file that you can save on your computer, you can also save to Google Drive. And like I said before, it's accessible anywhere. So 2 main ways you can get files onto Drive, and I keep doing that. Let's see, let's share it. Switch again here. So 2 main ways we can share files in Drive. And this is my Drive here. So basically, once you go into Drive, this is kind of the interface that you'll see here. You have the ability to create folders to organize your work. So if I wanted to make a new folder, I could click on this button here that says new and click on folder, and then it will just have me name it. So I'll call it sample folder. And then click on create. And there's the folder I just created there. So a couple of different ways I could save things in that folder. The first way is that I can click and drag a file that I wanted to save. So if I wanted to pull a file off my desktop here and save it into this folder, I can simply drag it here, drop it in the folder. And now when I go in, did it go in? I think it worked. Hold on one second. Let's go back. So it should have worked. Let's see. Where'd it go? Try that again. So I'm going to pull here, drag it. Should have went in my folder. Let's see. There it is. Okay. I don't know what happened the first time. So we can click and drag things when we want to save it to a folder or just save it in our Drive in general. The second way we can do, if we don't want to do a click and drag, is that we can also, if I go right here where it says My Drive, and I click on the arrow on the side, I can click here where it says Upload Files. So I can also go in this way. So I can look at any files I have on my computer, find the file that I want. I'm going to select it there, click Open. And you also get this little box down here at the bottom that says Upload Complete. So it'll let you know your upload went through. And then, there, okay, so that one I didn't put in my folder, but the file actually just popped up right there. So two ways to get files into our drive. We can either drag them from wherever it is on our computer into the folder. So we'll drag it. You'll see a plus sign that'll let you know it's putting it in there. Or I can go here and click on Upload File and find my file and upload it that way. So nice and simple, those two ways. So it's just a matter of preference which way you use. And then it'll let you know, it kind of gives you a little running total here of what files you've actually uploaded. So that is that. Once you have uploaded things, you can specify if you want it to be available to someone else. So this folder I just made, if I wanted this folder to be able to be shared with someone else, I can actually click here. This will give me a link. So I could actually copy this link and send it to someone or email it to them. And once they click on that link, that would allow them to be able to view this folder. If I don't want them to have access, then I can just turn link sharing off, and then this folder would be private to me. So on this side here for your drive, it'll kind of let you know, you'll be able to see any folders that you've created. So right here, my sample folder that I made shows up on the side here. I also have an option to see any files that have been shared with me by other people. So if I click there, it'll kind of show me files that other people have allowed me to see. So we've got that as well. Hello, Sade. We're just going over Google Drive right now. So we're just kind of taking a look at how we can save things in Google Drive. So yeah, so if I click here on Share It With Me, I'll be able to see any files that someone else has shared with me. And if I want to pull up any of those files, I can just simply double click on it and it'll pop up. And then at that point, if I want to edit the file, change things, I can do that at that point. So that's kind of how that works. Then the last thing I just was going to go over is how to delete things. So say I have something in my drive, I decide I don't want it anymore, like this picture. If I don't have a use for it anymore, if I want to delete things, I just simply click on the item I want to delete, click on the trash can, it's gone. So really simple to be able to get rid of things. So Google does initially give you 15 gigabytes of storage, which is quite a bit. And it gives you that free, but if you find that you need more storage, you can always click on that upgrade button. They have some packages that you could actually pay to get more storage space if you needed it. And that is Google Drive. Any questions about that?
Not that I can think of. It seems pretty, the way you explained it, it seems pretty straightforward.
Awesome. Have you used Google Drive before?
No.
Okay. Well, hopefully seeing it today, maybe you'll find it helpful to use sometime in the near future, hopefully.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any other questions about anything at all dealing with the course?
Not that I can think of.
Okay.
I think you've pretty much covered everything.
Okay. Awesome. Sade, was there anything that I could answer for you?
I just signed it, but I don't have any questions.
Okay, so we just, I'll just kind of recap a little bit. we just kind of went over Google Drive. Have you ever used Google Drive before?
Yes.
You have. Okay. So yeah, we just kind of briefly went over how to save things to Google Drive, how to create folders, and how to delete things from Google Drive. And before you came in, we went over spreadsheets. I'll kind of run back through that. So we went over Google Sheets and also Excel. Can you see my screen? Can you guys see this spreadsheet right now?
Yes.
Okay, just wanted to make sure. Okay, so we kind of went over Google Sheets and Microsoft Excel. These are spreadsheet programs that we can use to organize any type of numerical data or any type of data that we want to hold in a table form. So we just kind of talked about how it really just consists of a bunch of columns and rows. Columns across the top here are indicated by the letters. Our rows on the side here are indicated by numbers. And each intersection of a column and a row, these little squares here, we just call them cells. Any cell that you're working in at the time, as you notice, we get this blue highlight. That's called an active cell. So I'm kind of going over the things that they ask you for activity 7.1.1. So I just kind of wanted to go over that just to make sure we understood how to use spreadsheets. Have you used spreadsheets before, Sade?
No.
No? Okay. Have you done activity 7.1 yet? Did you maybe have any questions? Let me pull it up. That might help. Let's take a look at it. Or actually, I keep saying 7.1. I'm on the wrong sheet. Let's go to 7.1. All right, let's see. Got boxes. Oh, wait. Can I pull this up? Yeah, so if we look at the activity here for 7.1.1, hopefully after going over what we went over, should be able to answer these questions. So first one says horizontal rows in a spreadsheet are labeled with numbers, letters, cells, or symbols. So remember our rows here are indicated.
The horizontal would be the numbers.
Yep, you got it. Which means our vertical columns, if we know the horizontal rows are numbers, then our vertical columns must be the letters.
Letters, yep.
Yep. All right, next one. Spreadsheets are made up of rows and columns. That's true or false? Yeah, absolutely true. Number 4 asks the components that a cell can contain are, we've got value, label, formula. Check all that apply.
Yeah.
So we know it can be all of these things. We can have values in our spreadsheet, which we do. We can have labels, which are just simply letters, as well as we looked at earlier, we can have formulas, mathematical formulas in there as well. So all of the above. So the cell that is currently being used or edited is called the
active cell.
Right, the active cell. So that cell that has the blue highlight around it. 6 asks us, what is the cell address in the picture below? So this picture is a little hard for me to see, but looks like we're in column F.
Number 7.
Yeah, so that would be called F7. Yep. And then the last one says the point on the spreadsheet where each column and row meet is a box called a
cell.
Cell, absolutely. So each of these squares where they intersect are called cells. You got it. Great job. So that is pretty much it. I'm going to pause for any questions. Any questions about anything. It doesn't have to be about this activity. Anything dealing with the course at all.
Not that I can think of.
Okay, okay. What about you, Sade? Any questions? Nope. Okay. All right. Well, if there aren't any questions, that's about all I have for today. I will be online tonight, even after we sign off. So please feel free to send me a chat message, an email, if you have questions, comments, concerns about anything. I'm always available and happy to help you. And hopefully you're having a good experience with your classes. But like I said, if there's anything I can help you with, please don't hesitate to send me a message. Uh-oh, Sade, are you speaking? I can't hear you.
What time will you be on?
What time will I be on?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'll be on from now until probably 8 o'clock. And I'm in the Eastern time zone. Not sure if you guys are in the same time zone as me, but I'm in Eastern time zone.
And then just a side note, there are more of these live sessions. If you want to attend them, they're on your dashboard with the links. There's going to be one tonight for career development, and that one starts in about 2 hours.
Okay.
So all you have to do when you go onto your dashboard is it's one of the announcements, and you can click on the link for any of those subjects at the time. So even if you aren't necessarily enrolled in math, for example, but if you just want to review, you are welcome to sit in on it. But also for future classes, you know, you'll take it at some point, and we will continue doing these sessions. So you can always go then.
Okay. It's good to know.
Okay. Anything else I can help you with? Okay.
And nothing I can think of. I mean, I pretty much understand everything else.
Awesome. Good to hear. Okay. Well, like I said, I will be online tonight till about 8. Even if you're online after 8 and you have a question, still send me a message because I check my email, my messages periodically throughout the night. So I may still log back in and see it. But feel free to message me at any time. All right, ladies.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
You too.
Bye.